I had some requests on YouTube for basic, like real basic. I just got my drum set. How do I do some basic drum beats? I'm going to go through a couple ideas with that. Again, the new thing that I'm doing is doing personalized drum DVDs for students. You tell me what you want to learn, I put it on a DVD, I send it out to you, and you have stuff to work on and get down, and then you can request another DVD. Make that. Prices are, it's between $10 and $40 depending on where it needs to be shipped to, what you want on the DVD, blah blah blah. You can check that stuff out on my website. I'll give you that information later. So, first things first, let's just deal with three things. Most people try and deal with all the drums and cymbals and everything else. Let's deal with our hi-hat, our snare drum, and our bass drum. So, or you can use your ride cymbal. We'll do hi-hat because most stuff is done bass drum, hi-hat, snare drum. So, you've got different types of countings: eighth notes, 16th notes, quarter notes, blah blah blah. You should know all this stuff. It's music as a language. It's like going over to Paris. If you can't speak French, you're gonna have a hard time deciphering the language and communicating. But if you talk in quarter notes, eighth notes, if you get the certain language of music down, you can communicate with people, because everything for the most part is the same when it comes to counting out music. Little variances from different regions, but for the most part it's all the same. So quarter note, we're just going to write for this lesson, think 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'll go on, I'll do, next video I'll do eighth notes, and then I'll do some 16th note stuff, all based off of the same pattern with your bass drum and snare drum. So the first thing, quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put a bass drum on beat 1 and 3 and a snare drum on 2 and 4. Now some students, when I start them off, I have them think in just a 2-beat pattern. That's it. Just think 1 and 2, because 3 and 4 is just going to be the repeated pattern. So let's try. We'll do it first as just a 2-beat pattern, and then we'll do it as a 4-beat pattern, just so you can get the idea. It might be easier just to learn it as a 2-beat pattern. So 2 ways of counting it for the most part is think of 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now you can think of it as bass drum, snare drum. And every time you see a bass drum plays with a hi-hat. Every time you play a snare drum plays with a hi-hat. So everything has a hi-hat for this, because it's all quarter notes, all 1, 2, 3, and 4. Or for this one, 1 and 2. So you can think bass, snare, bass, snare, bass, snare, bass, snare, bass, snare, bass, snare. Now for some students that find it easier, I have a few students that do their hi-hat with their left hand. They don't feel comfortable crossing over, which is fine. The drummer from Dave Matthews Band especially, he was a left-handed drummer, and he said it was easier to learn and play on a right-handed kit because the school band, the jazz band and everything, everybody else was right-handed. When he'd go to open mics at like bars and clubs and coffee houses, everything was a right-handed drum set. So he just took what he would do over here with his left hand on a left-handed drum set, and he moved it over here. So he's got his ride cymbal here, his hi-hat here, but he plays with like an open grip, which is fine. I do it for some certain things where I want to get a real chunky hi-hat sound. I'll do it that way. So this is what it would look like if you want to do left hand on the hi-hat, which is perfectly fine. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, bass, snare, bass, snare. So now if I think of it in 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, bass, snare, bass, snare, bass, snare, bass, snare. So you can start with that and just get that one down. And almost, 80% of the rock beats that are out there, rock songs, if you can get the right speed, whether it's slow, fast, medium, this beat will work. You can play with almost everything. AC/DC, Back in Black. This is the groove. This is like the first drum song that I do with my students is Back in Black. And they just do bass, snare, bass, snare, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's different hits, different bass drums, a little bit different in some spots, but they play the whole song with just that beat, and you see the smile come over their face because they're playing music now. They're not just learning a drum beat or playing singles on the snare drum or the snare drum pad. They're playing music with a band, and that's what everybody wants to do. So AC/DC Back in Black, you can start with that. That's a great song just to learn your basic rock beats. Any AC/DC. Phil Rudd, drummer, right on with all his beats. You know, very simple, very tasteful. He plays what that song needs. AC/DC doesn't need a fast, flashy drummer. They need a rock-solid drummer, which is exactly what he is. So check out AC/DC tunes. Those are great to first learn your stuff to. So I will come back with my next video, and I'm going to do eighth notes with our hi-hat, bass drum, snare drum, and that'll kind of be step 2 of beginner drum beats. Let me find my remote. I'm going to stop it, I'm going to start it, and I'll do the next lesson. It'll be posted, should be right next to this one that you're watching on YouTube. Thanks.